Welcome to Protect and Grow with Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns of TJ Stearns Incorporated. Trust, respect, and results. TJ Stearns Incorporated focuses on comprehensive financial planning and benefits.
And welcome into the program. This is Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP, founder, president at TJ Stearns, Inc., your financial investment and retirement planning resource in Chicagoland, and always helping to identify the issues and the solutions to today's modern retirement challenges and risks. He is Tim Stearns, CFP. We appreciate the time on the program, Tim. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Peter.
And we've got a very special program today because we are talking about one of the biggest challenges and risks to retirement, as well as bringing on an authority in the field on how to structure a specific solution to the question of how can I generate a comfortable, confident retirement income. And Tim, one of the favorite people that we have in the industry, somebody who's really studied the math and science behind how to optimize retirement, Tom Hegna will be joining us on the show.
I'm truly excited. I've seen Tom speak multiple times. We've had him on the radio show. It's been a bit, so this is exciting to have him back. His story and his strategies have lived the test of time, especially in 2022. He carried the day. His theories are so tried and true. And I'm just trying to help preach the gospel of Tom Hegna. So not to get religious, but I'm just saying Tom is excellent. And I think everyone will take at least a couple nuggets of wisdom from him.
Author of the books Paychecks and Playchecks, and a book with a PBS special that is by the same title, Don't Worry, Retire Happy. So we'll hear from Tom a little bit later in the program. But ladies and gentlemen, if you would like a market recovery action plan, if you would like that retirement action plan put together, the Protect and Grow plan, and the help of a CFP certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, in structuring that plan, you are always welcome to be in touch. Just pick up the phone and give a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. Tim, what is the importance of having a specific plan to generate income that is different distinctly than the plan that we had for asset growth and accumulation during our working years?
It's really simple when you think of it. I'm going to stop working. Where is my next check going to come from? And one thing our parents have taught us and society has is how to accumulate, right? Put your money away, put your money away, put your money away. But no one has taught us about how to decumulate. And I think that's very important because the biggest thing in the back of baby boomers that I see retiring is, do I have enough money? So that comes part and parcel with the Protect and Grow plan that we do. And Tom speaks a lot of that. Where is your guaranteed money going to come from? Obviously, Social Security being one of those. But the second part would be maybe an annuity. Maybe you're taking money off of a income type vehicle. But we have to look at guarantees and that type of thing. And that's what Tom will talk about a lot on when we interview him, that is totally key to a less stressful retirement.
Do you find that during uncertain times in the market, like what we saw in 2022 and so far in 2023, where there's volatility, that more people are concerned about generating that retirement income, Tim?
Definitely. And it's interesting you bring that up. On Thursday, I taught a class and a gentleman said, well, we were talking about safe withdrawal rates. We were saying how 4% rate fails 67% of the time. So he said, well, if the market corrects, I would just take out less. And I said, well, what if you need to have the money and you're taking out, out of $100,000, if you're normally taking out 10 grand, if the market goes down, you're taking way more than 4%, right? Mm-hmm. So what we are doing with people is we're showing them you have to figure out how to have a less stressful retirement. Having a plan is absolutely clutch.
It struck me as we were talking about this, Tim, a 4% cash flow rate. It sounds like it's a reasonable amount. However, 5 years into retirement, you would have withdrawn a full fifth, 1/5, 20% of your starting account balance. That seems like an awful lot of withdrawal very quickly in retirement. And then if you compound that with uncertainty in the market, volatility, and losses like what we see, that really could put a whole different outlook on your retirement.
All right, so this is what we're seeing. The 60-40 split, which is 60% stocks, 40% bonds that a lot of people are still using, lost. It's the worst year that's ever had. I've seen everywhere from 15 to 22% that they lost last year. Put this in perspective, the Vanguard 2020 fund lost 14.85% last year. So if that vehicle, which is for someone who retired 3 years ago, lost 15%, what'd you do in your portfolio? And the part that I think people are missing is that, yeah, you might have to get an annuity, but it's guaranteed, and it's principal protected. Last year, annuities didn't lose money, if you're in a fixed indexed annuity. Full disclosure, I own one because I don't have a pension. I need to have a fixed income for down the road that actually grows with adjustments down for inflation, which obviously that's going to be something I need to worry about too. Well, guess what? I did a plan, and that's how we're sticking to it, my wife and I, to make sure that if the market goes down 20%, I'm still able to pay my bills. I don't have to dive into my growth bucket and take out money, lock in losses, and take out more than I actually meant to.
Yeah, none of my bills and obligations, Tim, my mortgage, my utilities, the power bill, none of them called me and said, hey, the market's down, so we're going to lower your bill by 20-25% last year. That just does not happen, nor does it happen, by the way, automatically when we turn a certain age, 62, 65, what have you. Your bills don't automatically lower and decrease. So we need a plan not only for sustainable, stable income, but Tim, in all likelihood, increasing income over retirement.
Well, you figure that the average client's retirement is 30 to 40 years. If you're married, chances that one of you will live to be over 90 are pretty strong, especially with people, we're getting healthier as a nation. But here's the double whammy here is that we're living longer and longer, and most of us don't have pensions. So what is my game plan? I need to figure out, what is going to be the way I pay my bills, so that if the market be darned, it's down, who cares? And a lot of people are talking about how, well, I'll be in a lower tax bracket. Well, being in a lower tax bracket, to your point, it's not like Nicor gas company calls you and says, hey, we heard you're on a fixed income and, inflation's rampant, but we're going to cut your bill in 25%. That doesn't happen. So when you're doing a plan, we want to figure out what's coming in the door and what's going out the door, and then adjust it for inflation. It's that simple. But a lot of people haven't done that. We call it the calculator problem, actually getting down to brass tacks and figuring out what you need in retirement.
Well, and that is the Protect and Grow plan, ladies and gentlemen, a written plan to optimize your retirement, to identify and reduce or eliminate unnecessary risk, and to maximize the income that your portfolio and savings can generate, and also identify discretionary funds that can be used later down the road for growth, for legacy, for all of those bucket list items that you intend retirement to be all about. That is what you can get there at TJ Stearns Inc. with the help of a certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP. Office located in Arlington Heights, but convenient for Chicagoland area residents. You can meet with Tim personally, virtually. You can have a quick conversation over the phone, all with a call to 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Call 800-640-2256, or you can visit online, tjstearns.com, tjstearns.com. And we are very excited to welcome the guest, Tim. Again, we've got Tom Hegna, who is the author of Paychecks and Playchecks and Don't Worry, Retire Happy, to provide some additional insight into planning retirement. And we are privileged to be joined by a very special guest on today's program. He is Tom Hegna, author of the book, maybe your most well-known book, Tom, Paychecks and Playchecks. And this is really a guide to retirement that has been utilized by individual planners as well as financial advisors across the nation for quite some time in how to structure and set up an ideal retirement. So One, thank you for joining us on the program. Two, given the changes in the economy since the last time we spoke, I mean, we've had COVID, we've had inflation, we've had high interest rates and market volatility. What is your take on the state of today's retirement?
Well, I think if people follow the math and science of how you should set up a retirement plan, that's what I write about in Paychecks and Playchecks and Don't Worry, Retire Happy. If you do that, I think you're going to weather the storm just fine. I'm 75% retired. I'm not just talking the talk. I'm walking the walk. I've got, guaranteed lifetime income coming in, so I can go out and play golf and do all the things I want to. I also have stock investments that some of them may be down right now, but I don't need them, so I just can let them go up and down. The problem comes when people put too much of their money in the market, and then they're pulling money out of a portfolio when the portfolio is going down. That is a recipe for disaster, and I'm afraid there are too many people who have too much of their money in the stock market. I'm not against the stock market, but in the right place in the right amount.
Tom, in both Paychecks and Playchecks and Don't Worry, Retire Happy, you spoke about the issue of longevity and how it multiplied all of these other risks. Now, we are seeing all of these other risks play out right in front of us, but how does longevity magnify these issues?
Well, of all the risks in retirement, and there's market risk, there's inflation, there's taxes, there's long-term care, there's sequence of returns risk, withdrawal rate risk. There's a lot of risks, but the number one risk is longevity risk, because as you said, it's not just a risk, it multiplies all the other risks. See, the longer you live, the more likely the stock market is going to crash. The longer you live, the more likely you're going to take too much money out. The longer you live, the more likely you'll see inflation, the more likely you'll see your taxes go up, and the more likely you're going to need long-term care. And so what the PhDs who study retirement say is, and they're unanimous on this, that, in order to have an optimal retirement, you must take that longevity risk off the table. Well, stocks can't do that. Bonds can't do that. Real estate can't do that. Bitcoin cannot do it. Only some form of lifetime income annuity can do that. And so that's where the annuity fits, is to at least cover your basic living expenses. Now, Social Security counts. Why? Because it's a lifetime income annuity. Pensions count. Why? Because they're lifetime income annuity. So you take how much money that you need to live your normal retirement, subtract out your Social Security, subtract out your pension, whatever's left, that's where the annuity fits as a minimum. Now, I don't just have paychecks for annuity. I own 11 annuities. I don't sell any annuities. I own them. I buy them. And so I've got income that starts at age 60. I got more that starts at age 62. I got more that starts at age 65. I got more that starts at age 70. So I'm guaranteed to have increasing income for the rest of my life. Most of those are in Roth IRAs. So I'm going to have a guaranteed increasing tax-free income for the rest of my life. And I would encourage as many of your listeners as possible to do the same.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you specifically mentioned Social Security as a guaranteed lifetime income annuity, because it was my next question. Recent news, sort of just a reconfirmation from the Social Security Board of Trustees, but they came out and basically stated, yes, the Social Security Trust Fund is in trouble and will run dry by 2033, meaning that they can only pay out what is estimated to be 77 cents on the dollar of promised benefits. What is the solution here, Tom?
Well, I don't believe Social Security will go bust. Social Security recipients are voters, okay? And so I don't think the politicians can let it go bust. But changes do need to be made, okay? And Social Security is not the big problem. Medicare is the big problem. But I could fix Social Security in less than 15 minutes for the next 100 years. We're going to have to raise the retirement age, not on older people, but on younger people. Like my dad got it at 65.
Right.
My full retirement age is until 67. My daughter's full retirement shouldn't be till she's 69 or 70. It just needs to increase as people are living longer. The full retirement age needs to go up. But we're also probably going to have to pay some more taxes. Right now we pay 6 1/4, and the employer pays 6 1/4, whatever those numbers are. That might have to go up to 7 1/4, 8% or something. And now we only pay on up to like $140,000. Maybe that's go up to $200,000. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's not a very tough solution. And the problem is the Republicans can't fix it, because they're going to say, oh, they're throwing granny off the cliff. The Democrats can't solve it. Oh, those people are just raising taxes. What they have to do is they have to get in a room together, just like they did under Reagan's administration. Reagan and Tip O'Neill and all those guys back then, they fixed it for another 50 years. They got to get in a room together. They got to say, okay, we got to raise some taxes. We got to raise retirement age. No, we're not throwing granny off the cliff. We're saving the system. We're not cutting benefits. And, because it's all about the rhetoric, but they have to come out together and say, look, here is what we recommend as Republicans and Democrats. It can't be one party or the other party will just tear them apart.
You're right. They have addressed issues with Social Security before in extending full retirement age, but they also did that at a time where they seemed to be able to reconcile differences and face difficult issues more directly and head on. Do you see that this is ever going to happen?
Well, it has to happen. I mean, but, unfortunately with Congress, they don't do anything until there's a crisis. So if the money's going to run dry in 2034, they'll probably do it in 2034 or in 2033. And the problem with that is the longer we wait, the bigger the tax increase will have to be, the higher the start date will have to be for retirement. If we could fix things now, the pain would be very minimal. You wouldn't even notice it. I mean, it come out of your check. Would you really notice if 8.25 came out instead of 6.75? Nobody's really going to notice that. And so I think the changes could be, relatively small if we do it soon, but I don't see that happening.
Well, while Congress has delayed in addressing the Social Security looming crisis or shortfall there, they have made other changes, Tom, when it comes to retirement accounts. What, if anything, have you paid attention to from the Secure Act and the Secure Act 2.0 that you believe impacts retirement-minded planners, savers, and investors?
Well, I mean, they did a number of things. Number one, they raised the age for RMDs. It used to be 70.5, then it went to 72. Now it's 73.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, though?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I tell people all the time, what did you save money in your IRA for? What did you save money in your 401k for? You saved it for retirement. If you're 70, guess what? You're probably in retirement. And so, it's just that people don't want to pay the taxes. And I say, don't let the tax tail wag the dog. And, I had a whole strategy in RMD maximization and paychecks and playchecks where I showed how you can literally get the insurance company to pay the taxes because they'll pay a higher payout rate than what you're getting if you just did it on your own. But that's a strategy that's in paychecks and playchecks. But I do believe people should be taking their retirement money. That's the worst money to leave to your kids. Don't leave your kids your IRA and your 401k. They won't be happy. They'll barely get 50 cents on the dollar.
Which, by the way, the Secure Act's pretty much guaranteed, correct? It really reinforced that retirement dollars are not generational wealth.
Yeah, I mean, that's out there. They did reduce the penalties if you don't do your RMD. It used to be a 50% penalty. Now it's a 25% penalty. There's some higher catch-up contributions. It used to be $5,000 to $6,000. I think it's $7,500. It's going to go to $10,000 on catch-up provisions once you're over age 50. There's some things for emergency, getting money out for emergencies. But one of the big things that is never talked about is QLACs, qualified longevity annuity contracts. And what a QLAC allows you to do is take a little bit of money today to buy income if you live a long life. So to start like at age 85. And just because I knew we were going to talk about this, I went on the system today. I ran a quote. Again, I don't sell annuities. I go to the public site, immediateannuities.com, and I just plug it in there. But if I put in $200,000 today, and I'm almost 62, I'm 61, but I'm almost 62, to start in 23 years when I'm 85, if I put in 200,000, that's the new, you're allowed to put up to 200,000. There's no more 25%. So if I put in the 200,000 today, when I'm 85, that will pay me $140,000 a year, every year, no matter how long I live. So what this does is protects you against the tail risk of living longer. What if they cure diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and they've got all these little mini bots they shoot into you and it fixes everything, and they can print you a new kidney and they can print you a new, lung or something. If all that stuff comes true and people live to be 150, 180, 200, that would have been one of the best investments you could ever make. So you take a little bit of money today to start way in the future to protect. And then you can run a portfolio from 62 to 85 because, if you live longer than that, you got this other thing that'll kick in.
Protecting against that number one risk of longevity.
Right.
Now, what do you make of the Fed's direction over the last 18 months as they've sort of turned the corner from making money cheap to access, widely available, to more of a restrictive positioning and raising interest rates. How do you feel this has affected retirement?
Well, it's not just that they raised interest rates. It's the speed that they've raised interest rates. We've never seen interest rates raised this rapidly. And so to go from 0 to almost 5%, just like that, in about a year and a half, that's unprecedented. And so, he said he'd keep raising. And the reason they have to do it is we're $31 trillion in debt. When interest rates are 1%, that's $310 billion of interest. We can handle that. But at 5%, that's $1.5 trillion of interest. We can't handle that. I mean, it's literally an existential threat to the country if we don't get interest rates back down. And so the way he gets interest rates back down is he's got to raise them enough to break the back of inflation so that prices fall, and then he can lower rates again. But he's got to break things. And we already saw Silicon Valley Bank broke, Signature Bank got taken over, and now the commercial real estate, there's all these open office buildings in New York. That's going to be a big problem. They're owned by regional banks. 70% of the commercial real estate is owned by local and regional banks. So, I mean, that's going to be more of a problem. So, but I think he has to keep raising interest rates. The market thinks he's going to stop. He's going to pause. He's going to pivot. He said he's not going to. Okay. He said he's not going to stop until inflation gets back down to 2%. We're not anywhere near 2%. We're like 6%, 5%. So he's still got to raise rates. I think the market is off sides here. I think the market is going to be in for some extended volatility, but let's see what happens.
Well, they say that history does not repeat, but it often rhymes. And I think that we are rhyming very closely with kind of the late 70s, early 1980s inflationary interest rate and then subsequent market recessionary environment. But the difference now versus then, Tom, I believe, is that the American public, by and large, did not have nearly as much invested in the market during that time. So the public could be much more hurt by market volatility and downturns. We were more savers at that time, so we actually benefited from the interest rates. And today we have much more debt where we'll be hurt much more by these interest rates. Do you think that we are maybe positioned with our savings and investments that this time around it's going to be much more painful potentially?
Well, the good news about higher interest rates is now people can get a higher interest rate on a money market fund or on a bond. And so bonds are more attractive today than they were when they were paying, 1% or less than 1%.
Next to nothing.
But anybody who's in debt, especially if it's a variable interest rate loan, they're in big trouble. And I think there was a thing that came across that 24% of the Russell 3000 stocks, so the 3,000 largest companies in America, 24% are zombie companies. They're not even making enough to pay the interest on their debt. So they're kind of like our government. They just keep adding more debt, adding more debt, adding more debt. And as you know, a family can't run that way. A business can't run that way. And our government can't run that way either. And we're going to see this play out, over the next 5-10 years.
What should we be doing then, Tom, for income generation, fixed income, or taking advantage of interest rates for retirement in this environment?
Yeah. So, I'll share you what I do. Okay. I own 11 annuities. So, I'm a big believer in income annuities, and people say, oh, annuities are expensive. Not income annuities. There are no fees in an income annuity. So, if you're guaranteed $2,000 a month for the rest of life, that's exactly what you're going to get. So I have that as a basis. I also own dividend paying stocks. There's really great pipeline stocks right now and some other, energy type related stocks and other, real estate investment trusts and things that offer alternatives. See, for years, everybody was in the market because of TINA. There is no alternative. Can't put your money in the bank, is paying less than 1%. Can't put your money in a money market fund, paying less than 0.25%. Where are you going to put your money? You're going to put in stocks. Well, now they say it's Tata. There are tons of alternatives. So I don't think people need to be fully invested in the stock market. You can have guaranteed income. Look at what the payout rates are on annuities. They're the highest I've seen in over a decade. You can lock in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13% a year guaranteed for the rest of your life, depending on your age. And I showed you how I can lock in 71% a year for the rest of my life with a QLAC, but that's deferring it for 23 years. So, there are a lot of alternatives out there. So I would say you want to have at least enough guaranteed income to cover your basic living expenses in retirement. And then you need to invest to protect yourself against inflation, or do what I've done with multiple annuities so that you can, turn on increased income, because you want increased increasing income and as much of that to be tax-free as possible. I've moved more of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance because that's another source of tax-free income that I'll flip on here soon. I don't need it yet, but when I do, I'll just flip that switch and it'll start sending me tax-free income for the rest of my life out of there too.
He is Tom Hegna, author of Paychecks and Playchecks and Don't Worry, Retire Happy. Tom, it had just been a while since we caught up. Wanted to get your stance on the state of retirement post-COVID, post-interest rate increases, to see what, if anything, had changed in your stance since writing the books on how to structure retirement. And sounds like you're still in the mindset that guaranteed lifetime income equals peace of mind and confidence in retirement.
Yeah, and the math and science proves it. You're likely to be happier, and now the research shows you're likely to live longer as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of good reasons to have at least a little bit of guaranteed lifetime income.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, great conversation with Tom Hegna. We are appreciative, again, that he was able to join us, a real industry leader, advisor to advisors, and Tim has studied the math and science behind how to optimize retirement, has really looked at the numbers. There is an optimal way to structure that retirement income plan. And I know that's what you do there for your clients at TJ Stearns.
And the big takeaway for me with Tom is, basically there's things that need protection, right? Yourself, your family, your paycheck, cash flow, the budget, and of course, most importantly, what Tom was talking about, income. So we're looking at having a plan, a market protection action plan, whatever you want to call it. What I'm seeing a lot of, to Tom's point, is that people are scared, that they're going to run out of money. We've been really good at accumulation. Americans understand that the onus is on us. The federal government's not going to come in to say, hey, joke's on you, we're going to take care of all of you with your Social Security, will pay all your bills. About 16% of society is doing that, right? And you look at how they live and they don't have enough money. So we have the amount of money accumulated. How do we take it out there the smart way? Where do I put it? Well, how much risk should I have? I mean, even my 93-year-old mother has to have risk, right? To stay ahead of inflation. Where else could I do that? So these are the things that we are covering. I still will tell anyone who will listen to me, the buy and hold lost $16 trillion in 2022. And so active money management is clutch. Having a guaranteed income from some sort of vehicle is absolutely important as well. And then having a plan. And, we don't charge people to do these plans. And 1 out of 10 Americans have plans. So winging it in retirement is not a great way to do it. And Tom Hegna, says that and more.
Yeah, well, we do always appreciate when Tom can join us on the program. Great insight. And more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, you've got the resource. Tim Stearns, Certified Financial Planning Professional, CFP, here as your resource, Chicagoland. If you would like to get that Protect and Grow plan, put together a written plan for retirement income, optimizing retirement, maximizing income, maximizing your returns, identifying and minimizing risks, minimizing taxes, maximizing income, that is the Protect and Grow plan. Pick up the phone and give a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256, or you can visit online, tjstearns.com. By the way, classes held throughout the area, always an opportunity for you to come and learn more about how to structure that ideal retirement and the risks that you will face. Make sure you've got a plan to address them. That's the Protect and Grow plan. Pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. Tim, always appreciate your time here on the show.
Thanks, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.